All right. Um, Tell you a little story um, about how I lost my job on my birthday last year. Excuse me. Um, so I started this job last year in August, and I quickly moved up in the ranks within the company because I was able to adapt to what the assignment was, and pick up the the work quickly, and to move further into the company. Um, the work wasn't that difficult. Um, it was just, I mean, it was basic work, but it wasn't basic work. Um, so you just had to be able to pay close attention to detail, and make sure that you don't make any mistakes, because if you make some mistakes, it can fall back on you based on your position and what a certain amount of a certain amount of percentage you're supposed to get is you're supposed to build up within your shift. And so I you know I quickly moved up, like I said. I never was late to work. Showed up on time, sometimes 30 minutes ahead of start time, sometimes uh, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. I was ahead of schedule. And, I did that because it made me feel good knowing that I had that particular task uh, to make it to work on time, to not only impress the employees, but impress myself, because I want to be able to build a relationship with myself like that, as far as me doing things like that. So yeah, um, didn't have any issues with being late. Um, I we our particular job consists of, we had two 15-minute breaks, and a 30-minute lunch. So, and we're talking we had to work a it was a regular, I believe, let me think. I think it was a regular 8-hour shift, but when you do overtime, you got to do 10 hours. So um, I did that. Um, Job wasn't paying nowhere near a livable wage, but nonetheless, when you're in a job and you work up in the ranks, you try to work your way up to getting that higher pay. So you know, fast forward, you know, I again, from what I just told you guys previously, I had moved up so quickly to the point to where they made me ambassador. An ambassador within a company is pretty much training other people, other new recruits, or people who had a hard time, who've been in the company who had a hard time catching on to the work. They would assign me a certain amount of people to train to get them in the swing of things, of how our operations is going at work. So I ended up quickly becoming an ambassador quick. Um, and so once I got that position, I was proud of myself because I was able to not only within a certain amount of time of me starting work, getting that job in August of last year, like somewhere, I said about 2 or 3 months later, I was able to, become an ambassador. So um, everything was on the up and up. Did what I was supposed to do. Got paid an extra dollar for training employees. Other employees uh, for that particular day. Like um, if I had a set amount of people, right, I would train them for 2 or 3 days to 3 or 4 days, depending on how quickly they pick it up. I would train them for that particular day, and during that particular shift, I would get paid a different rate than what I would normally make for that particular day. So um, I had a was doing that, and everything was running smoothly, and everything was on the up and up. So uh, there had become a time where work was getting real slow, And the way the job worked is that, you know, when you work, we work off of production. Whatever comes in, we get the work done, we push it back out. So if there's no production coming in, there's no work. Um, and it varies between the seasons. I mean, not between the seasons, but it varies between the months of how you work and what the numbers are looking on the chart. You know, based on the supervisors or the managers or whatever that's in the job, they would tell you. We would have a stand up every day to let us know what our target was, what we was trying to hit for that particular day, uh, and to pretty much try to reach that goal and probably going beyond um, that target. So we would do that every morning, and that's what our assignment was. And um, so we had went from working a regular 40-hour shift to a 60-hour shift. So we only had one day off. So you'll work from. I mean, the schedules vary depending on what position depending on what type of position. I'm gonna say position, but what time you got to be scheduled. Because my shift was from uh, 6 in the morning to 6 to 4, and obviously the shift, the shift that you would, obviously the shift that I would, the extra hours I would pick up would be an hour or two. So, uh, you know, um, and that would come often, and I would take it. I would take it because for the simple fact that I needed the money, So, it wasn't in my head. It was like, whatever they throw at you, just take it. If they give it to you, just take it. Because you need the money, and that's what my mindset was just make money. I wasn't even thinking about my body. I was thinking about making money, and that was a mistake. That was the mistake that I made. Along the way with working. Because sometimes when we get into the job, you want to outperform everybody else. You want to be able to stand out more than everybody else. You want to be able to show what you can do more than everybody else, so you can be looked upon from the company, so they can appoint you in a certain position more than anybody else. So, yeah, I did that, and I was, I just took it. I heard people at the job complaining about this and complaining about that, about how they don't have any, they don't have that much time to get home and do what they do if they work in a 10-hour shift. And we pretty much, it was like a situation where we would, let's just say we would, no, they was complaining saying what?
Was I was asking you when you did do whatever you're doing it here, I was going to ask my mom, can you make some food, my burritos?
Burritos? Oh, when I'm done. Sorry about that, you guys. So, what was I saying? Yeah, okay, so basically, like I said, people was complaining about, like I said, not spending time, not having enough time, not enough off time, and they were complaining like, people was up here working, people were saying they worked this many hours and they wasn't getting paid as they should, and they putting more hours in and getting less pay, and me, in my head, I'm just thinking, do whatever you got to do. Forget the pay, it'll come later, just do what you got to do. And so, I would go in there all the time saying, I'm not tripping on nothing. Whatever they give me, just give it to me and throw it my direction, and I'll take it. And so, I was doing that. I don't think since when I worked for that company, I don't think I've ever took a day off unless the day was already scheduled to be off. I would even work, holidays. Some days we'll have to be scheduled to work holidays, and some days you can choose to do overtime. If it ain't mandatory, you can choose to do overtime. So sometimes it won't be mandatory overtime, but if you want that extra pay, you got to ask for overtime. And I would do that too. You know, if I wasn't scheduled, if I was scheduled for a 40-hour week, I would particularly ask for overtime for 2 days, just so I can hit that 60, right? And all because I was trying to, again, in my head, I want the money, right? And you know, basically trying to impress the company, because that's what your role is, right? Is to stand out, right? And so I did that. And you know, with this company, it's like the best availability is being able to be able to come in. You know, if you ain't available to come in, then it looks bad on you. So I did that, and fast forward to again saying about the training. So I was training people, new people from out of the street that came into the company. I was training them, and then it had got to a point where I had trained some young ladies from a different department within the warehouse I was working at, and and when I got assigned that particular day, because I was supposed to train for 3 days, and so that particular day, when I you know, when they came downstairs, you know, I already had this eerie feeling about, you know, how these young ladies was. It was like they were already going to be trouble from the moment I seen them come down, right? Because they was already looking around like, you know, obviously it wasn't their department, and they wanted to be at their department, and their department, they had no more work, right? So they had to, in order to continue to keep working, they had to go up. The company had to move them to different departments if they wanted to stay at work. So, you know, I didn't know who I was getting assigned to, but I just seen a bunch of people who came downstairs in my department. So I zoned in on the section of young ladies I seen. I was like, man, they're gonna be some, in my head, I'm like, man, they're gonna be some trouble, man. But again, you know, I'm supposed to judge, you know, off the bat. Even though I did my judging, right, I still was like, okay, well, you know, my position is to train, regardless of how these young ladies take it. I mean, how they perceive this department as, right? Just to go in and do your job, don't complain, and just do what you told, right? And so I did that, right? And so I was assigned to, let's see, I think 6 ladies. Yeah, 6 ladies I was assigned to, and so they brought. Obviously, I talked to my supervisor at the time. I was, you know, he was telling me those are the people I was going to have, and I pretty much, you know, basically brought them into my department. You know, broke everything down to them, told them how we do things in this department, what's expected of them, you know, and to pay close attention to detail, because it's very important. One mistake, and you know, the whole operation can go down, right? And so the moment I did that, you know, the girls didn't give me attitude, but they made these faces like they didn't want to be down in the department, right? And so the mistake I made is that I didn't even tell my supervisor. I pretty much just pushed through, like, you know, obviously when somebody having a bad day or whatever, you know, you work around, you know, you be professional in your position, but you also, you know, look past, you know, their particular issues that they got going on, because it could have been an issue that came from home or whatever, right? And so I ignored that and just stayed doing my particular job, right? And so yeah, the girls had a frown on their face, but they still complied, and I went to training them, right? Just training them. And so the first day was cool, and although they didn't want to do it, they still did the work. The second day came around, and it was kind of draggy the second day, but they still did the work, right? And I was kind of like letting my supervisor know what the deal was as far as how they were doing, if they were getting caught up to speed with the job, and if they didn't get caught up to speed with that particular job that I was training them on, they was going to move into another area in my department. And so I would just pretty much like I said, keep my supervisor updated on what happened, with that situation. And here comes the third day. So the third day, like every other day, right, for me, as far as my department, but I'm saying training them. The third day came and I was training them, doing what I normally do, on a regular work day. And before I know it, I got called to the front office, because my department was working way, way in the back. So in order to go take our breaks and lunches and stuff like that, we had to go way to the front. And so I got called to the front. And, I'm thinking, because obviously my performance and stuff like that and what I did, like, I was just thinking to myself in my head, like, I'm about to get like a raise or something. They getting ready to tell me something good, So I wasn't even really worried about that. I was thinking, once they call people in the front based off of my observation of the job, I'm thinking something's going to be exciting, right? So I was just talking to my supervisor, because my supervisor escorted me to the front, and I was just like, okay, just talking to him about the women I was training and how the job was going, and thinking that things are going to be good, right? The whole time my supervisor was just agreeing with what I was saying, but he was kind of silent. He wasn't saying nothing, right? So in my head, that seemed kind of foul. In my head, like, why isn't he talking to me? I understand he's a supervisor, but we're walking to the front, so obviously we do a little small talk or whatever, and it wouldn't be a problem. But he just wasn't talking, and so because he wasn't talking, made me think something kind of weird was going on. But still, I still was optimistic. I was still thinking, okay, I'm getting in there and they go tell me something. If they don't want other employees to know, about my position and if I'm moving up or whatever. And when I got up in there, I was still talking to them, right? They just sat quiet, right? And then next thing you know, it was like, Mr. Parker, we're suspending you with pay. I'm like, huh? It was like suspending you with pay pending an investigation. I'm like, investigation? Investigation for what? And so they were saying to me that they couldn't get into further details as to why they were suspending me, right? Because it was brand new and they had to gather all the information they can gather up. And I was confused as to what was going on, man. I'm like, everything I did was to the T, right? I'm wondering what's going on. And so, my coworkers, obviously they had, well, let me back up a little bit, right? So after they told me that, they ended up taking my badge. They asked me, did I have anything on the floor, which was my hoodie, and I think I had something else on the floor too, that they went to go get. So they pretty much took my, actually I had to go get my stuff out of my locker, because I had my backpack in my locker. And they pretty much, the lady escorted me to get my backpack out of my locker. She took my badge. She scanned my badge, scanned me out of the building. I mean, almost out of the building, but out in front of it, because it's two parts of it when you come into the job. When you get in there, you got to check your bags or whatever you brought into the job, to see if you're gonna bring any items that you're not supposed to bring in there. And once you clear it good to go, you basically scan your badge and you go through these little turnpike. I think you go through the turnpike and you enter in. So yeah. Once the lady had walked me to my locker, she was walking me to my locker like I was a criminal and shit. I was like, damn, walking me to my locker like a criminal? This is crazy as hell. So she pretty much, like I said, took my badge and use my badge to have me go through the turnpike to go out. So I sat in a little area to wait to get my stuff. And so I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and pretty much my supervisor, brought the stuff out to me, my stuff out to me, and gave me a fist pump like this, and was like, "See you soon." So I'm like, damn. I'm just puzzled as to why I'm suspended. Like I couldn't believe I'm not working right now. And mind you, I got suspended like maybe a couple hours before my shift was ending. Like I said, about 2 or 3 hours before my shift was ending. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm suspended. I'm really going on in my head. And so I was tripping real bad, man. Like, what the hell could have went wrong, right? And so my coworkers, a few of my coworkers was calling. They called me. It was asking where I went and stuff, and I'm like, I got suspended. And I'm like, you're like, what for? I'm like, I don't know. But pretty much they was telling me they overheard, because they obviously when I got suspended, they overheard the girls I was training back there in my department. They were just talking about me. And so what they were talking about what I did to them, and I didn't do anything to them at all. We work in close proximity with each other. Like, there's all kind of stations where you work at. So there's a station here, and then it could be a station right here, and then same thing, so on and so forth. And so everybody was shocked. Like my coworkers that I know that I work with was shocked. Was like, man, Jesse, we know that you don't do anything, man. You do your work. Sometimes you overdo your work, and I don't understand what's going on. And so they told me that the girls was back there talking about me, and they was high-fiving each other because they did a good deed off of what they was doing, I guess. And I'm like, I asked them what they was talking about. I mean, my coworkers that I knew before they came down there, and they were saying that they complained to HR that I sexually harassed them. Oh, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Girls that wasn't even from my department came downstairs and pretty much said that I did this to them. I was shocked, man. I was really, really, really shocked, man. I couldn't believe this was happening. So I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was tripping. Like tripping. And so once that happened, I was just tripping, man. So pretty much, what I forgot to tell you guys is that pretty much the people at my old job, pretty much said that they was going to reach out to me, and they were going to reach out to me and let me know, go back, man, go back in there, go. They were going to reach out to me to basically get that person's side of the story. I mean, once that person, those girls' side of the story, and they're gonna reach out to me to get my side of the story. And obviously, I've never been in a situation with working before, and so they pretty much, they pretty much was like, I had to wait. So it could have been any time from you suspended. It could be any time from a week to 2 weeks or whatever until the investigation is done. But what happened was that they pretty much, when I was talking to my coworkers, because my coworkers was calling me every day, and I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Like, are they doing the investigation so I can be able to get back to work, right? And me not knowing the situation, I didn't know how the process went. And so I'm waiting, because I'm in a routine, I'm in a rhythm. And I'm like, damn, man. I'm just sitting here, like, I'm getting paid still, but it just didn't feel right, man. And knowing that this just happened to me as far as what these girls did to me had me tripped out. I just couldn't let it go in my head. And so A couple of days went by, and then um, the one of my coworkers said he overheard a girl talking to one of my coworkers that I trained, right, a guy, and they were talking about me, you know, and saying that they were wrong for what they did or whatever, and you know, and the girls was like that wasn't that serious or whatnot or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, like, all this stuff that's being discussed, like, I'm not even this kind of individual, and they talking about something that's not hasn't even went on. I'm tripped out, right? And so when they was talking, they would just talk for like maybe an hour and a half about me, and um, I kept hearing stories about, man, he can be get you your job back. And all right, so yeah, my camera cut off. I don't know why it cut off. So continuing on, from when my coworker I was telling you about my coworker saying, you know, they can give me my job back. He can give me my job back, right? I for whatever reason, I don't know, but he can give me my job back. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what you mean give me my job back? I didn't do anything wrong. But according to, I guess, what the ladies were saying, I was wrong. But I wasn't wrong in my opinion because I didn't do anything, right? And so, like I said before, that whole time that I was waiting, I heard nothing back from them. They said they was going to send out an email or call me, you know, based on, you know, their investigation and what they can pull up. But I didn't get anything. The only thing I got, like I said before, was the email saying that my job is ended. And still to this day, I don't know. You know, I'm very puzzled, you know, as to how that happened. But, you know, I say that to say this, that these jobs ain't shit, man. They ain't shit, you know. You can do everything right, and it just doesn't matter, man. You know, when they want to replace you, they will replace you. No matter how good you've been doing, no matter how many years you've been working, no matter how much in good standing that you are at the company, it does not make any difference, man. You know what I'm saying? If they want to get rid of your ass, they would. And, you know, to go through that year in and year out, you know what I'm saying, or even work at a company, you know, year in and year out, it don't make a difference, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything is by design. You know, it's by design. It's not a coincidence that you think whatever job that you apply to or whatever, that you're going to have that job. I mean, yeah, you hired on permanently, right? That's what your position is or whatever. But it isn't, your job isn't permanent. It's temporary. And all the time that you're giving them, you're trading away your time that you cannot get back, it's all for what? For a pension? That you got to live on for the rest of your life? Because you gave them so much of your time that you can't get back. I'm talking about time with other things that you could be doing besides working, right? Because someone told you to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not worth it, man. It ain't worth it. And when I lost my job on my birthday, you know, that cut a light bulb over my head. Like, fuck these jobs, man. Fuck a 9 to 5. Fuck a 10-hour job. Fuck a 12-hour job. It does not matter, man. It does not matter. You know, you got to be able to push for you. You know what I'm saying? Push for you. Bet on yourself, man. Because it's not going to work out in no company, man. Because they can give a fuck about you. They can care about your life or whatever, man. And so, I'll just leave you with this. You put all that time in to work at a company to, I mean, year round, right? To have a 2 or 3 week vacation. Let that sink in real quick. Like you trade in so much time for money to get rewarded for a 2 or 3 week vacation at the end of the year, or whatever time you decide to take it. Other than that, you have to be working throughout the whole entire year. It just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up to me. Like the math is not math, and something is wrong. Like if nobody understands this wrong, there's something wrong with you, because it's not benefiting you. You put your blood, much say you'll put your blood, sweat, and tears, but you put your heart and soul in this job, and to outperform everybody else, to be looked upon within the company, and to be a standout, and to be frowned upon, and to get a reward like just a vacation, nothing else. Again, it just, I don't know, man. But again, I'm just through with it, man. This road is scary. The unknown is scary because you don't know where it's going to come from. But that's the risk that I'm willing to take. Because I'm tired of giving somebody else my time to be getting backdoored, and to be getting frowned upon, and to be looked down upon like I'm nothing. I refuse, man. I refuse. And I will figure it out. So I'm gonna leave out with that. If you took anything from this video that I said to you, that I'm talking to you on right now, make sure you leave a comment, man. Leave a comment. Like the video. It'll help the algorithm. And it'll get my videos out there. I know I'm brand new, but I want to be able to get this thing rolling, because I want to put my time into this, because I think it'll work out. So with that being said, you guys take it easy. I'm out.